Hey guys, welcome back to DR Sports for another transfer news show. A little bits and bobs to update you on as the day has progressed since our video this morning. So in this video, we're talking about the interest or the alleged interest from Chelsea and Arsenal for RB Leipzig's Xavi Simons. Also, since we last spoke to United, have now secured Mbeumo signing over a month of back and forth with Brentford. Also, the latest on the Luis Diaz situation, as well as, we're still trying to get the actual source confirmed from this news, but allegedly there's a Saudi bid for Isaac as well. Also, Madueke has finally been announced as an Arsenal player. So all that to come. Let me know what you think in the comments on the bits and bobs that we're going to be speaking about. Shout out to everyone who was waiting for us. Upon entry, please make sure you smash that like button, get involved in the chat, and we'll have a good show, shall we? Right, first and foremost, let's go to Chelsea and Arsenal. Allegedly, they are both interested in Xavi Simons from RB Leipzig. Simons is prepared to leave Leipzig this summer, as was revealed in May. Both clubs have called. They've monitored the situation. They've called up to ask about the conditions for Xavi Simons' deal. But then they, as we know, went on to other targets, and maybe this interest could be reactivated. But what does that mean for Eze? What does that mean for Arsenal's interest in Rodrigo as well, which is pretty much cooled down now? And would Leipzig be willing to sell to Arsenal, considering they refused to bid for Cesco in the end? Oof. And would Simons actually start for Chelsea or Arsenal? Let us know in the chat. Xavi Simons, it seems like he's been a wonder kid now for some time. Obviously starts off in the Barcelona academy. Such an amazing pedigree. If you look at his youth career, he starts off at Barcelona, goes to PSG, goes on loan to PSV a couple seasons ago, scores 19 goals in 34 games, valued at around about the £70 million mark, 11 goals last season and 8 assists. Definitely a player who should be attracting the interest of all the top clubs in Europe. Obviously, after PSG goes to loan at Leipzig, made it official last season in 2025. But still, I think he needs maybe that next step to almost progress. He didn't really ever make the cut at Barcelona. Didn't massively work out at PSG, if I'm honest with you. He only played 7 league games for them in total. Bit of a flop, to be honest. But he finds himself in a situation now at 22 years old. He plays a lot for the Netherlands. There's a World Cup coming up next year, as we know. So it is probably time for Xavi Simons to secure a top club, to secure regular minutes and game time, and in his favoured position as well. That would obviously be something that he'd be more interested in than playing in a position that maybe isn't too familiar to him. So let us know in the chat. Xavi Simons, where does he end up? And also, if you consider the links to Eze, if you consider the links to everyone else that Arsenal have looked at, obviously Madueke has just come through the door. I struggle to understand. Maybe the move suits Chelsea a little bit more than Arsenal. I just think there's now so many options for Arsenal. Yes, he can play out wide. Yes, we know he can play through the middle as well. And we know that Chelsea are still after a winger or two. And we know that Arsenal have just brought a winger in, but it looks like their winger action is probably done now. So do let us know. Oscar saying, are you on your own? Yeah, I am. Cheers. The main anonymous says, I've always rated Simons, and that's how most people feel about him. We've always known about him. We've always rated him. But at the same time, for whatever reason, maybe that's injuries or just a lack of form, he hasn't really cracked it yet at a top club, right? We know that he's done super well at PSV, and with all due respect to them, he is, unfortunately for them, going to use them as a stepping stone to put himself in that shop window and get a bit more attention through the door for his services as well. Scores 11 for Leipzig last season, but the season where he really came to life was in the Eredivisie with PSV. He played 48 games and scores 22 goals. So there's clearly a very creative, still young player there. It's just who can actually persuade Leipzig to do the deal. And obviously there is a little bit of back and forth and probably some sour grapes on Leipzig's side towards Arsenal because of the fact that they didn't really play ball when it came to Benjamin Cesco. Robert says most big clubs have midfielders. That's the problem. Bob says, "Oh, so you are live, AGT? I thought it was a recording." No, I am live. Of course, we're live at 5, as we do that normally. He must go to Bayern. Obviously, they were massively interested in him, and their interest still remains, by the way, for Luis Diaz. There was a tweet that came through today from Florian Plettenberg, who isn't the most trusted journalist out there, I'll be honest, but he says Luis Diaz has not only informed Liverpool of his desire to leave, but has now also made it clear to Liverpool that he would like to join FC Bayern. The transfer is approved by Vincent Kompany. There is no full agreement between Bayern and Diaz yet. However, personal terms are not an issue, with a potential contract running to at least 2029. It's now up to Bayern to reach an agreement with Liverpool. If not, Diaz could still join another club. Barcelona remain interested, and obviously if Diaz goes to Bayern Munich, they probably won't be looking at Xavi Simons anymore. But Barcelona would currently be unable to register him. And I go back to what we spoke about yesterday, in terms of why would he want to leave Liverpool. There's rumours around his actual fee, or his wages, I should say. Some people think it's 55k a week. Other people, which is probably more realistic, think it's 140k a week. He's probably pushing for 160, 180. And there is a feeling from the Liverpool side of things that they don't want to offer him a new bumper contract. So the Xavi Simons thing could actually impact Luis Diaz's future. But if you are Arsenal, if you are Chelsea right now, should you be fighting to get Xavi Simons? We've asked you in the chat, who should Xavi Simons join? 42% of you say stay at RB Leipzig, 33% of you say Arsenal, and 24% of you say Chelsea. All of these clubs, by the way, will have known about this name, Xavi Simons, for maybe the last 5 or 6 years since he was super young. But let's see how this one ends up. Let us know in the chat. Keep the comments coming in for that. Since we left you this morning as well, it's been reported that Brentford have now secured the fee from Manchester United to sign the winger Bryan Mbeumo. After a month of back and forth, as we know, it looks like Brentford have finally accepted the 65 plus 6 add-ons, £1 million that is, for Bryan Mbeumo. The deal has been going on since early June. It's now completed, and he is expected to undergo his medical this week, and that means he could actually end up on tour next week with Manchester United. But how do Brentford replace a player who scored 18 goals in the league? Let's try and name some candidates, and we did this on the show yesterday, but trying to name some candidates that could maybe come in and replace, because it isn't just Mbeumo's goals, by the way, who did get 18 last season. Let's not forget Jan Wissa scored 18 as well, by the way, for the same team. So it's not just that 18 goals, it's, well, how do you replace 40 goals? And yes, we know they've had a bid rejected for Ipswich's Amari Hutchinson at £35 million, which I think is a little bit overinflated considering the output that we saw last season from the player. But there will be money available if this deal goes through. There will be funds there. So which player do they bring in? I'm going to ask you guys, actually. Who is the ideal replacement or replacements for the two players at the Bees who are looking to enter a new era under Keith Andrews? They've got a new goalkeeper in Queven Kelleher, my guy, my cousin. They've obviously got a new captain in Jordan Henderson. But as much as you want to bring players in, you want to keep hold of your best players. I can't see a world, and maybe they do, but I can't see a world in which Brentford allow both Mbeumo and Yoane Wissa to both leave this summer. I'm not too sure. So do let us know. Do let us know what you think about that one. And who is United's best front three now? If we actually try and visualise it next season with the current players that they've got, you're probably looking at Ahmad, you're looking at Cunha, you're probably looking at Mbeumo. I mean, that as a three, in my opinion, is a much better three than a three that includes Rasmus Højlund or Joshua Zirkzee. So who is that best three for United next season, who are currently linked with Benjamin Cesco as well? The latest on that one comes from, again, not maybe the most trusted journalist in the world, but Indy Kyler, who says, "We can confirm that Benjamin Cesco's agent met with Manchester United officials this Thursday. The meeting took place in the evening in Madrid. This was the first stage talks with Cesco's agent." So, as we know, Leipzig have been flirting with the big teams all season to try and get a deal in place for Benjamin Cesco. And no one actually put a bid in the end. So a bit of a damp squib finish. But if you're Cesco and you've had the likes of, I mean, he was linked to Liverpool, he was linked to Chelsea, he was linked to Arsenal, obviously super strongly. But it all looks like his maybe first, second, third choices are out the window now. So even with no European football, could Manchester United still bring in Benjamin Cesco and really change up and totally flip the script when it comes to their attacking options next season? Do let us know in the chat how the Cesco links affect Manchester United. And if you are a United fan, do you even want the fella? Do you even want the fella? Is there someone else out there a bit better? So let us know how you feel about that one. But on Newcastle, who still want Wissa, by the way, will Brentford want to part with Wissa now that Mbeumo is going to United if he passes the medical? Newcastle as well have missed out on a lot of targets this season in this window. Ekitike and Mbeumo, João Pedro, potentially Wissa in the future as well. Listen, Newcastle are a big club. They're followed so well. But is there almost a question to be asked about the pull of Newcastle? I hate talking about the pull because it's such almost a Gen Z thing to talk about. Live no pull and all this stuff. But listen, if you've gone for all these players and none of them join, I know they've got Elanga in, which is a really good signing. But can they still be classified as a massive club, which in a lot of ways and a lot of people's opinions they are, with the fan base, the one city club. But in terms of being that team that can almost whack a bid down and guarantee you're going to get the player, there's not many teams out there that can do that. But they have missed out on a lot of targets. Liverpool have obviously gone for Ekitike, who it was widely reported was Newcastle's #1 target. And there was also this stuff this afternoon about Isak going to Saudi, which again I need to double check the source on that one. But the tweet is, and I'll get it up for you right now. The tweet is that Alexander Isak has given initial green light to discuss start the discussions with Al Hilal. Talks are ongoing between the Saudi club and his agent. This is a journalist called Santi Aouna, who is a journalist for Foot Mercato in France. He's big into his transfer news, and he has 350k followers, which I guess with the blue tick as well, you might suggest that could be a trusted voice. Sorry. But as things stand, I mean, that was only an hour ago. It's got 2 million views already. And someone actually asked Grok, is this true? And they said, there is a shared ownership between Al Hilal and Newcastle. They're both owned by Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, the PIF. The shared ownership could facilitate transfers like the ongoing talks for Alexander Isak. So Grok isn't even shutting it down, mate. I mean, when I saw that, I thought, if Liverpool can't buy him, there's no way in sweet hell that he goes to Saudi, because of the fact that it looks like he's going to stay. So I don't know. I mean, I can't see for 1 second Alex Isak going to Saudi over Liverpool, if I'm honest. It depends how much you trust Santi as a journalist, but for me personally, I can't really see how that one ends as an Al Hilal player for Alexander Isak. So let us know what are your thoughts to that one in the chat. Will Newcastle get Wissa? We've just asked you that in the live poll as well. LFC 20 and 6 says Ekitike rejected Newcastle. Is that looking to go Saudi? Yikes, Toon fans. For a 3-year deal. So let's see how that one ends. I mean, like I said, I cannot see Alex Isak going to the Saudis at this stage in his career when he's on form. Obviously, if he did go, it would be a huge wage, and the fee that he would accept out there would probably absolute catapult him into one of the highest paid players in the world. But the links to Saudi, how true are they? And let us know your thoughts on those links as well. Let's go to Arsenal, because it's very good news. It's a good day to be an Arsenal fan. Ethan Nwaneri and Arsenal will be together until June 2030, I should say, as planned. That was Fabrizio's latest update for us just 1 minute ago from now. Arsenal, as we know, have reached that kind of proposal. So we'll see how it ends up with that one. I mean, I can't, again, see how that one doesn't end up as Ethan Nwaneri being a player for anyone else apart from Arsenal. It looks like they are going to get their man, isn't it? So big up to them. And it does look like Ethan Nwaneri signs up to Arsenal long-term basis. We've also got the latest confirmation now that Noni Madueke is officially signed in to become an Arsenal player. There's a couple of quotes coming out which I can bring to you now. He takes the number 20 shirt for the Gunners, who are obviously going to win, or obviously going to try and go all out to win as many competitions next season as they can. Noni Madueke says, to win all the competitions we're in, I feel like we're definitely capable of doing that. So Noni Madueke is calling for the treble or the quadruple, is he? Mikel Arteta says Noni Madueke is one of the most talented wide forwards in the Premier League at just 23. Noni brings experience of club and international football, having seen the quality of his performances up close. We're really excited. That final fee that was agreed, by the way, was 48.5 million in the end for the midfielder who has earned 7 caps for England since making his debut last year. And he was, of course, a part of Chelsea's squad at the Club World Cup, but left before the final last Sunday to finalise his move. Signs a 5-year deal. The fee would rise to just over 50 million with add-ons. Made 92 appearances for Chelsea after joining from PSV in January 2023 and scored 20 goals for them in those 92 appearances, and a lot of them obviously were him coming off the bench in games. Made his senior debut in August last year, set up Harry Kane's winner for the World Cup qualifier game in Andorra last month. They won 1-0 obviously. But as we know, the news of the interest from Arsenal in the Chelsea winger did promote and start up quite a lot of backlash from sections of the Arsenal supporters earlier this month. There was, of course, that No to Madueke petition, right? Which, I mean, that was signed 5,000 times, which is unbelievable, really. The Emirates Stadium, the murals outside there, a few of them were vandalised with Arteta out quotes as well. But he does become Arsenal's 4th signing of the window for sure, and the 2nd one, by the way, from Chelsea following the arrival of Kepa, as we know. But Christian Norgard, Zubimendi and Victor Gyokeres and Christian Mosquera and Noni Madueke are the names that are allegedly coming into Arsenal at the minute. But where would he play, right? I got a couple of stats for you. If you compare Madueke to Martinelli and Saka, then I can give you some interesting stats here. Now, obviously, Madueke plays predominantly on the right. 88% of his Premier League minutes so far have come from that side, which, as we know, is a side heavily dominated by Bukayo Saka. But Saka has started 108 of the 114 league matches from 21 to 22 to 23-24, which is a lot of games and a great record, but obviously did miss 3 months of last season because of the hamstring injury. So Madueke would be a capable option to cover up as Saka, his deputy, on the right, but he can also play on the left as well. So we're comparing him now to both Martinelli and Saka. Games played, Martinelli plays 32, Madueke 32, Bukayo Saka 25 last season because of that injury. Minutes played fairly similar, as you can expect. 8 goals for Martinelli, 7 for Madueke, only 6 for Saka last season, which I know he missed 3 months, but for him to only get 6 goals last season is pretty mind-blowing. Madueke gets the most expected goals out of that, by the way, and has the most shots out of any 3 of the players. He only got 3 assists. Martinelli gets 4, Saka gets 10. Goals and assists, Martinelli with 12, who, by all accounts, still had a really poor season, even though on this he is actually the most goals and assists together. Madueke gets 10 and Saka gets 16. Dribbles completed, Noni Madueke takes on the most players out of these 3 with 45 across the season. But the interesting one is the progressive carries. This might have been something that was looked at by Mikel Arteta. Martinelli with 216 progressive carries going in the right way, the direction of the goal. But Noni Madueke, 242 positive carries and 192 for Bukayo Saka. So the stats are okay. You can see almost based on those stats why Arteta might be excited about the prospect of signing him. But yeah, contributed 10 goals and assists to Chelsea last season and could boost Arsenal's much criticised attack, as we know. But he is a direct winger, right? He is very much that. We saw that with his assist to Harry Kane for England, who mainly plays against teams who defend deep against them, and they could benefit Arsenal from his eagerness to almost get that ball and, beat your defender, have a shot on goal. So where does he play? Arsenal fans, in terms of the pecking order for the wide players at Arsenal, of course you've got Saka on this side, you've got Martinelli this side, through the middle it's going to be Gyokeres. But in terms of the pecking order, obviously Eze is still big links going on there between Arsenal and Crystal Palace. But is it a step up? I'll ask the question. Is this signing, Madueke to Arsenal, is it a step up for Martinelli or over Martinelli? Let us know in the chat, people, as that one now does get confirmed finally, and he does wear the number 20 for Arsenal. But on Gyokeres, as we know, the base fee is already agreed. The clubs are still going back and forth between the add-ons. Sporting have been very difficult, as we know, and they wish for more add-ons or very easy add-ons, right? If he plays 15 games, we get 2 mil. If he wins a cup, we get 5 mil. These kind of add-ons that they'll be ensuring are quite easy targets to hit. It was thought that Gyokeres would be doing his medical today, but that has now likely been pushed back to next week when the fee can be fully agreed. There is still hope, though, that Gyokeres could start the pre-season tour with Arsenal, where they play AC Milan, Newcastle and Spurs in that time. So do let us know what you think at home of these links and this delayment, really, for Gyokeres to go to Arsenal, because his medical looks to be pushed back again, because Sporting, as we already knew, they are not going to make this easy for the player whatsoever. So there is still hope that he can join that pre-season tour, but if you're asking Arsenal fans, they would have wanted this wrapped up quite a long time ago, so he can be ready to get on that flight with the same squad. In other news, before we go, Galatasaray are looking to submit a £3 million bid for goalkeeper Ederson, right? I mean, if they did that, there has been links, by the way, in the last 2 or 3 years that Ederson is looking for a move away from the Etihad. But Galatasaray for £3 million, I'm not too sure that they're going to have any inklings to accept that one. He played 26 games in the Premier League last year. He's a 31-year-old goalkeeper, as we know now. The number 2 for Brazil after Alisson. He's played 276 games now for Man City, 29 caps for Brazil. And, you know, his contract that he's currently on obviously does allow him to stay at the club for longer. But in my opinion, £3 million, you're going to be looking to pay a lot more than that. So I'm assuming that Man City will just reject that straight away. As we know that West Ham, they've signed the Senegalese defender El Hadji Malik Diouf from Slavia Prague for £19 million. And they make Todibo's loan move from Nice, permanent. I've also seen this morning that West Ham, after bringing in Kyle Walker-Peters, they're also now looking at both Jack Grealish and Harvey Elliott, and even potentially Tyler Morton, all from Liverpool. Grealish is linked to the London club, and I've already seen Tom Skinner, you know, the big West Ham fan, Bosch, giving it all that. He's talking about, you know, doing a separate come to West Ham video that that he hopes Jack Grealish might see. So listen, Jack Grealish, that name, he has finally almost reluctantly gone back to training now for the Man City team, but that's not going to last long. I doubt he will even go on the tour. He's going to be looking to get another team wrapped up as soon as possible to make sure that he can have a decent chance of playing in this World Cup next summer. We'll go into the Super Chats now. Michael says, AGT, you can laugh, it's okay. I will laugh. I will. I love laughing. Joe Wright says Gyokeres will be fine. Still have Spurs, Newcastle and the Emirates Cup to get minutes as well. We have asked you in the chat. Madueke to Arsenal. Rate the signing. Don't get him. 56 million quid. Or don't get it. 56%. Or it's a good signing. 43% of you have voted for that as well. So split right down the middle. A lot of you guys don't get it. But as the pre-season rolls out and we see his plans for Madueke, there should be a bit more of an understanding as to where exactly Mikel Arteta sees his future as an Arsenal player. Is it the right? Is it the left? They're obviously still looking at Eze. So how does that one end up for Arsenal fans? T2P says, I saw Grealish and Chelsea chilling on the day of the World Cup club final. I'm not sure he's going to end up at Chelsea, but if you did see him, you saw him, big up. Ederson dives like Onana these days, says Caryard, but still, 3 million quid. You've got to be asking for more than that, surely. If he's 55 million and Mbeumo is 65 million, I say he's a bargain, says Muvendan. Arsenal need depth, says Skills. He was in the pub, says T2P. I'm not sure. Can you confirm that for us? And LFC says Jack will probably go to Saudi, maybe to hook up with Isaac, who the links to today, whether they're true or not, they've obviously done the rounds big time on the socials today. then I can't see Isaac going to Saudi whatsoever, to be honest. But Spurs are a joke, says Spurs Medi as well, who are still looking to tie up this deal for Morgan Gibbs-White. It seems to be super messy, this one, if I'm honest. It's getting to the point where Newcastle were throwing the kitchen sink at trying to actually persuade him to stay. But at the minute, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it looks like he probably still will get his move to Tottenham in the end. Yash in the comments has said, where does Simmons end up? Well, we spoke about him at the top of the show. Will it be Chelsea? Will it be Arsenal? Do let us know what you think in the chat. And is there a Weatherspoons in Chelsea? Hashtag Grealish says Manny. I think T2P is just chatting rubbish now, because now he's just said, yeah, he shouted at my mate who was wearing a Chelsea shirt. He said, up the Chelsea. I'm not sure if that happened, mate. But Saudi obviously do own Newcastle, says LFC. It does make sense. And Robert says, give AGT a raise. What a great comment that is today, because it is just me. But here we go. We are obviously still bringing you all these transfer news, and it is a pleasure to do so every single day. And I hope you've been enjoying the shows, of course. Just on this pre-season tour that Arsenal are about to embark on, they play AC Milan, Newcastle and Spurs. You guys at home, what is your actual opinion of playing these type of games out there in Asia? I mean, Arsenal versus AC Milan is a massive game. Arsenal versus Newcastle is a massive game. Recently, Arsenal have lost 4 in a row, is it, to Newcastle? But Arsenal Spurs over in Asia, I know for a fact that AFTV will be out there. There is rumours that maybe another famous Tottenham fan is going out there with them as well. But what are your views on these friendly games being used as pre-season friendlies? I mean, for me, any game between Arsenal and Spurs, the word friendly doesn't come into it. So actually, it's interesting to get your opinion on this one. What does it mean in terms of the intensity? Is the rivalry still there halfway across the world? Will they play strong teams in that one? I will be watching that, because I think anyone who's not an Arsenal or a Spurs fan would still want to watch that game, even if it is pre-season. So I'll be watching it. And of course, Liverpool actually play AC Milan as well out there in Hong Kong, and that's a game that I'll be at myself next Thursday or Friday. I think it's Thursday. So let us know on the integrity, the intensity of these games in over in Asia for pre-season. They should be playing teams in the country, says Jay, and actually that's a good shout. I think after the AC Milan game, Liverpool play Yokohama All Stars, which is obviously a local team in Japan. So I do agree with you there, to be honest, man. AGT has been really good. I like this. Maybe just give AGT his own solo segment, says Mertastic. And Arsenal beat Newcastle in the last game, says MPD. I suppose, yeah, they did. Odane says the number 10 and number 14 still available for Eze and Rodrigo. I'm not sure about that. Michael then says it's a tenner on the Arsenal website to watch all the games. I don't like that, if I'm honest. Ryan says, get the likes up, chat, subscribe, and have a nice day. And Paul Redtox says, I read that Isaac is unhappy that Newcastle didn't accept the 3-year offer in the Saudi free agent at 28. So we'll see how that one ends up. But Isaac to Saudi over Isaac to Liverpool makes absolutely no sense for him, for us, for them, and everything like that. So, guys, just to round up what we've spoken about today, obviously Arsenal and Chelsea are both allegedly interested in Xavi Simons. Manchester United look to have now secured the Mbeumo signing after a month of back and forth with Brentford. It's going to be a 65 plus 6 fee for them, but how does that impact Brentford? They're obviously going to be losing such a big player. Wissa's obviously still linked heavily to Newcastle and Tottenham. I reckon he stays at Brentford. I think Wissa stays. Or they could just look to cash in. Luis Diaz, as we know, is in form Liverpool. He wants to leave, but Xavi Simons still being looked at by Bayern Munich. Could that affect things there as well? And Arsenal looking to obviously tie down Ethan Nwaneri for a bit longer. And it's just back and forth. It's agreeing the add-ons between themselves and Gyokeres' team, which is taking some time, probably a little bit too long, actually, considering Arsenal fly away on this Sunday, this weekend. He was due to have his medical today, but that's been pushed back. Galatasaray bidding 3 mil for Ederson. Let us know how that one ends up. West Ham are making moves in the market. Could they, after Kyle Walker-Peters comes through the door, be looking at a Jack Grealish, a Harvey Elliott, a Tyler Morton as well? And shout out to the England Lionesses, who make their 6th consecutive semi-final in a major tournament after beating Sweden 3-2 on penalties after 14 penalties were taken. I mean, to miss 4 penalties in a shootout and still go through, I've never seen anything like that. So nerve-wracking. Obviously, they did very well to come back from being 2-0 down. So shout out to the Lionesses. They're now through. And make sure you guys do the right thing. And make sure you smash that like button. And we've dropped a Best of Enemies for you today. So if you've got nothing else to do after this, go back and watch that show for sure. But guys, we'll be back on Monday, of course, with the weekend roundup. And then everyone pretty much goes to Asia for this tour, which I'm going to as well. So I'm very excited by that. But guys, we'll see you then. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care. All the best.